Hey, good morning, and that's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. As usual, we'll start the show like right at 10. I got out here a little early today, so I decided to go ahead and start the stream. But I'm going to wait until 10 o'clock to really start the show. But you already know what it is. In the meantime, we're listening to this new Tool song, though. Hey, good morning.
So longing for another wind, virgin to the fray, weapon out and belly in, a warrior struggling to remain consequential.
Georgia played, woo!
Wasn't this so boring?
Shitter's full.
Manny Diaz didn't know how to recruit. Guess what? Who did y'all get in the transfer protocol?
Nuts and honey.
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on YouTube today. Thanks for watching, man. I sure do appreciate it, too. Uncle Lou Live. During the off-season, we do this show every Tuesday, Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Once it gets to a little closer to the season, probably in August, we're going to add some more shows. Of course, during the season, we have a Saturday morning show, too, that we do during college game day. But anyway, for the next couple of months, we're going to stick with this Tuesday, Thursday night, 10 p.m. thing. Seems to be working pretty good. Shout out to all you guys that are joined already. Almost 100 people watching. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch live. If you're watching this on the playback, I appreciate that, too. I know not everybody can watch at 10 o'clock at night. But I really appreciate it, no matter when you watch it, either way. Per usual, this late in the month of May, not a whole lot of college football news to talk about. Some people entering the transfer portal once they're figuring out they're not going to get any playing time. A couple of rumors with Georgia, maybe Nate McBride looking to transfer. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Highly recruited guy, hasn't really been able to find a spot anywhere on the 2 deep at UGA. Inside linebacker, and that's a position we've struggled at. So the fact that he's not really able to crack the 2 or 3 deep tells me it probably wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Maybe him to look to transfer. Some other rumors of transfer. This thing with Florida's running back Lamical Perine. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about that really, or give an opinion. I don't know all the details. I read the article like everybody else did. I guess something with a tow truck driver and his mom were getting into it, and he supposedly grabbed the tow truck driver. So I don't know all the details. I don't think he's been arrested or charged with anything yet. He's been accused of battery. There's a quote from a state prosecutor saying that the whole thing, looks like it's probably not going to amount to anything. But listen, right now, everyone's eyes are on Florida because of all the stuff that's gone on the last week or so. So any little thing that happens there now is going to be magnified over the next little bit because people are really looking to see what's going on there. But it looks like this thing with Perine could be a whole lot about nothing. And if it wasn't for all the other stuff that had happened over the last week, it could be a situation where we never even would hear about this story. But anyway, it's out there. So if you guys, if you want to talk about it, we can. You guys know the routine. When you call up, we'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. 706-510-6817 is the number. If you want to be on the show today, that's the number you call. Shout out to Lanier HVAC Services. They sponsor these Uncle Lou Show lives that we do. If you guys live in the Athens, Atlanta, or Gainesville, Georgia area and you need some work done on your HVAC unit, give the good people over at Lanier HVAC Services a call. They'll take good care of you. Their phone number is 678-943-1351. And if you want to sponsor the Uncle Lou Show, email me, crazyuncle@gmail.com. There's all different ways you can do it. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello, sir. How's it going, bro?
Oh, man, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm out of school, so you can definitely expect more calls from me
You just
from now on.
you just made my day.
5-star caller.
Yeah, I'll be calling you all summer long.
Yeah, it's Mark
Maybe
Johnson.
not every day because I don't want to get old. You know what I'm saying? I may not call every day, but I'll be calling a lot more often for sure. I want to make sure of that.
I understand.
So I wanted to make a preview, basically, coming into next year. So
Mark Johnson, what happened, buddy? Try to call back, Mark Johnson. I don't know what happened. You dropped the call. 706-510-6817. That's one of my favorite callers, too. What a disappointment. A serious case of blue balls there. Mark Johnson calls up and gets disconnected before he even gets rolling. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, Uncle Lou. This is D from Atlanta.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing
Hey, nothing, man.
good.
5-star caller.
That's great. That's great. In addition to that, and also into couple of things. I'm trying to be more focused on this call instead of rambling like I normally do. But I have a question for you.
Don't,
And
sir.
I'm gonna,
Sir, I've made a living out of rambling. Don't worry about it.
Okay, we can do that too.
right.
But I do have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about the whole pay thing. Then I'm going to make you laugh, and then I'm going to get off your line. How about that?
That sounds good.
So recently, with my Georgia friends, there's been another pop-up about the game in Jacksonville with Florida not being fair to Georgia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it made me go back and look. And basically since 1980, it's 16-21 in Jacksonville. So it's not that bad. It's not like Georgia was beating them in the 70s and the 80s. So it all kind of balanced out. I took out the two games in the 90s that were played with Rebottle down there at the Gator Bowl.
Right.
And so I just wanted to know what your feelings is about that game being in Florida. I know a few years back, my mentor, he's a UGA grad, and he talked about how unfair it was. And I just asked him, like, was it unfair when Georgia was beating them 17 out of 20 times in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah.
So, when did it become unfair? Just your position on that.
I have a lot of positions really that aren't all that popular, and this is one of them. I'm in the minority. I don't like the game played in Jacksonville for two reasons. Number one, I feel like college football games should be played on a college campus. I'm not even really a big fan of these like week one neutral site games, like, the kickoff classics and stuff. The bowl games, I understand that's tradition. It's part of a reward for the players at the end of the year to sort of take a trip somewhere and play in a bowl game, so I get that. But in general, I like to see college football games played on college campuses. So that's the main reason I don't like the game in Jacksonville. Number two, I do think it's an advantage for Florida to have the game in Jacksonville. Not because Jacksonville is in the state of Florida. It's purely a distance thing. Florida takes about a 45-minute bus ride to the game. Georgia has to take a 45-minute bus ride to an airport, hop a plane, and fly there. So it's a neutral site game in terms of it's neither team's home stadium, but the travel benefits Florida, in my opinion. But the game is never going to get changed, not anytime soon anyway. Too much old money loves the game down there. You've got a lot of Georgia and Florida fans who have second homes in the Jacksonville and the surrounding beach areas, specifically because that game is played there once a year. There's just a lot of money gets put into that game. A lot of money has been spent in that area because of that game, and so I can't see it being changed for that reason.
Okay. I think everything you said is definitely, one, unpopular. Two, is definitely logical. It makes sense to me. I just wanted to get your opinion because I've been, like I said, just talking with my Georgia friends. They've been, and most of them say that, and I think one of them even said he would like to see like a rotation, Jacksonville, Athens, Gainesville, Jacksonville, Athens, Gainesville, something like that. But, even with that, that's going to be a stretch to get that done, because the people who want the game in Jacksonville, they're going to have the game in Jacksonville, like you said.
Yeah, and if they want to keep it a neutral site thing, then 1 year in Jacksonville, 1 year in Atlanta, alternate it that way. But I don't like it.
Well.
And I've been to the game there in Jacksonville, and it is a lot of fun. It's unlike, I've never been to a bowl game, but I've talked to a lot of fans who have, and they compare the Georgia-Florida game to like a bowl game in the middle of the season. A lot of people and I had a great time down there too. I just prefer college games to be on college campuses. So that's just
I
sort of
agree
where
with
I
that
land
100%. I'm hoping all these great home and homes that have been scheduled for 15, how many ever years down the road, I hope they actually get played.
Me too.
I hope they get played.
Me too.
And I hope they get played, and I hope these teams are what they can be when they play the games, and not, right now, like Clemson, Florida State should be a great game right now, but it's not.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just not. And that brings me to my next topic. The whole paying players thing. And here's the deal. And I think I want to bring a little levity to the situation. One, it's not going to happen. Not to the point where they're just writing somebody a check. That's not going to happen. Now, they might approve the whole own your image and all the rest of that stuff. However, whatever this working committee is supposed to be doing, whatever. But here's the real reason why I don't really think schools have a problem with playing football and basketball players. It's just the Title IX says you have to pay everybody.
Yeah, that's a
huge problem.
Yeah.
UConn wouldn't have a problem paying their women's basketball team. They probably have more of a problem paying their football team than paying the women's basketball team. And if you're in the northern tier states where wrestling and hockey is huge, again, those are revenue generating sports there. If your sport is not, they don't want to pay the crew team. It generates nothing. But Title IX says they have to pay everything. And to prove that, this whole training table thing, this popularized for like the football players, and you can feed them as much as you want to 24/7 a day. The training table applies to every athlete at every school, because you can't just feed the football players and not feed. So that's what Title IX says. One view on this, I was listening to satellite radio. I forgot what show it was, but they were asking people's opinion about this, and this guy, he's an Oregon State fan. He called and he said, well, now Oregon State won't be able to compete. And I just said to myself, compete for what? What are they competing for now?
Yeah. One or two wins?
What are they competing for now, Lou? I mean, come on, man. It's like, I looked it up. This decade, Oregon State is 38-72. And during the college football playoff era, they're 14-46. What the hell are they competing for now? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Look, some people may add to this list or take away from this list, but Lou, there's only about 15, 16 teams at their optimum that can win the national championship. The other, how many other teams? I don't know what they're playing for, but they're not. If you're talking about competing for a bowl spot, okay. If you're talking about competing for the national championship, Oregon State's not in that conversation. Anyway, even at their peak, they're not in that conversation. 15, 16 schools who can win it. Clemson, Miami, Florida State, Georgia, Bama, Auburn, LSU, A&M, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, Washington, Oregon, Texas, and OU. That's it. Now, there may be one or two teams. Somebody might have a team or two that they think can win it. They may be able to add it. I might have looked, but that was just off the top of my head.
Right. Hey, let me let you go. I'm going to let you go and let somebody else jump on. I appreciate the call. Great points as usual. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
5-star caller.
I think you left South Carolina off your list, though.
I'm just a little bit perturbed.
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, Ultimate Troll here.
Hey, what's up, Troll?
Yeah, I got a question. Why are you so down on Auburn this year?
Aren't you?
I mean, I'm about where I'm a little. remember last year how I was high and saying they're going to win the Natty and everything?
All right, yeah, yeah, we remember. But let's just cut right to the chase. Let me ask you this. This is an IQ test. Would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather? I mean, I know it's the off season, so the whole we're going 15-0 thing. I get that, but let's try to forget that for 1 second. Would you rather Auburn went 10-2 and came in second in the West, or 5-7?
10-2, second in the West.
You're keeping Malzahn if that happens.
To be honest, here's my opinion. Okay,
If you go 10-2 and your only 2 losses are Georgia and Alabama, you're keeping Gus Malzahn. If I'm an Auburn fan, I either want to go 11-1 or 12-0 and win the West and the SEC, or I want to go 5-7 and fire Malzahn. If you guys have another 7, 8, 9 win season just so you can keep Malzahn around again, that's just, you're just. I mean, I hope that's what happens. I love Gus Malzahn.
No. What's going to happen? A, I mean, if 7, 8 wins, he's gone this year, guaranteed. I know that's a big fact. B, I get we lost. We need a new quarterback. A, we have to replace every linebacker on our roster. But that's it. That's it. After that, we don't have to replace anybody else. We lost a few wide receivers, but I mean, if you look at our wide receivers, we have a pretty good, talented group there.
What about you? You didn't lose no defensive lineman, you said?
We lost one guy, but he was our worst guy.
Okay. All right. Well,
we lost Dontavius Russell.
Oh, this just in. Breaking news here.
Manny Diaz didn't know how to recruit. Guess what? Who did y'all get in the transfer protocol?
Nuts and honey.
Yeah. Breaking news: Malik Willis has just entered the transfer protocol.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That means because Gus Malzahn came out 2 weeks ago and said either Joey Gatewood or Bo are starting week 1, and Malik Willis doesn't have a shot anymore. So, I mean, can you blame him? Did Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix both sign with Auburn directly out of high school?
Yeah. Y'all are screwed.
Okay,
Y'all are screwed.
hang on. Let's go back to that for a second too.
Tell me one quarterback. Tell me one quarterback. Tell me one quarterback that Gus Malzahn has ever signed directly out of high school that's been any good at all. Name one. Name one.
And I'm gonna name you one, right? I am. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm gonna name you one quarterback. But last time you told me to do this, you started laughing out loud when I said this, and it's the same person, Sean White. Yeah, he did the same thing last time, Uncle Lou. He did the same thing last time. And remember what I did? I told you pull up the stats. Guess what? He had a 60% completion percentage, threw for 1,800 yards, had like 4 interceptions. He wasn't a bad quarterback that year. He got injured in one game, and he had to miss the end of the season. Then the next year he got arrested. So he was not a bad quarterback. I mean, he basically was Jake Fromm year 1. Yeah, can't argue facts, Uncle Luke.
Did you really say Sean White? I'm asking for a friend.
I did say Sean White. Would you like to look up his completion percentage from 2015 and 2016? Are you there, Uncle Luke? Can you hear me? Are you going deaf?
Yeah, I heard I heard every word you said.
Yeah. Okay. So those so what you're saying is a 60% completion percentage, like 10 to 4 touchdown interception ratio, and winning, I don't know, 8 and going 8-2 as a starter is bad? Is that what you're saying?
He was no good.
If you think that's bad, you don't know football.
He was no good.
That's no good? Yeah, you don't know football then, Uncle Luke.
Never seen a game, sir. Okay.
So hang on. That's that. Then, remember in 2013, Gus got hired. He brought in Nick Marshall, your quote-unquote Georgia trash that ended up going to New York for the Heisman thing in 2014. You forgot about that, by the way. Calling him garbage. Man threw for 4,000 yards in 2014.
Sean White threw for 1,600 yards, sir. 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Wee!
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said.
I spend all year long crying about Jake Fromm only throwing for 2,800 yards?
Uncle Lou,
Sean
he
White,
played in like 10 games.
He played in 11.
He played in
11 games.
Okay, 11 games.
Yeah.
That's
1,600
okay.
yards.
And we were very run heavy because that was the year we had Cameron Petway.
That's like,
so
what is this, like 120, what is that, 125 yards a game, 150 yards a game? Beep, beep,
oh, yeah, and guess what?
He must have had a bunch of rushing yards.
Remember?
He must have had a bunch of rushing yards. Let me check. Nope.
He had, I think, 150 total. Are you checking that too, Uncle Lou?
So what you're telling me is that Gus Malzahn, between being an offensive coordinator and a head coach, has been at Auburn for.
Offensive coordinator.
I do. No, I do. But I do though. But I do know though. I know you may not know, and no one would debate you on that, sir. But I do know. As an offensive coordinator and a head coach, Gus Malzahn has been at Auburn for about 10 or 11 seasons. And when I asked you to name me the best quarterback he's ever signed out of high school, Sean White is your answer. A guy that started 11 games and threw for 1,600 yards. That's what you're telling me. 11 recruiting classes, Gus Malzahn has either been offensive coordinator or head coach at Auburn, and the best he's put on the field in terms of quarterback play from someone he signed out of high school himself is Sean the Flying Tomato White. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. That man was lighting it up in the middle of 2016.
And your hopes and prayers are with Bo Nix and Joey Gatewood, two guys that were recruited and signed.
Much highly, Uncle Lou, Bo Nix and Joey Gatewood are much higher rated than Sean White or any other quarterback we've ever had.
Every quarterback Gus Malzahn has ever signed is about to win the Heisman, sir. Jeremy Johnson, John Franklin III. These have been. We heard every year how these players were about to go 29-0, pass for 8,000 yards, rush for 2,000 yards, 100 touchdowns, no interceptions, and win the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500. We heard it every single offseason about every quarterback you guys have ever planned on starting, sir.
Uncle Lou, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. I don't even think he'll be in the top half of the SEC, whoever we start. All he has to be able to do is complete passes. We're going to have a much better running game this year. If our quarterback is an average quarterback at best, we win 8 to 9 games. If he's anything better than that, who knows? But I'm not saying anybody's winning the Heisman. I don't know where you have that mentality for some reason that we had Cam Newton in 2010 and Nick Marshall, who almost did win the Heisman. You keep forgetting about that. He almost did win the Heisman. And you think, Auburn fans think every quarterback's going to win the Heisman.
Who did you say almost won the Heisman? Who did you say almost won the Heisman?
Jeremy Johnson. Who?
You said Jeremy Johnson almost won the Heisman.
No, Nick Marshall.
This guy right here.
Yes, that guy. Huh? That guy, look it up. 2014, he was invited to New York. He was in the top 6. I think he was voted like 4th in the Heisman race.
Sir, it was 2013.
No, it was 2014. No, in 2014.
It was 2013.
2013 was our good season. No, Uncle Lou, listen to what I'm saying. 2013 was the season we got lucky and everything. In 2014, we had an even better offense, but our defense was complete garbage. But in 2014, Nick Marshall had much better numbers than he did in 2013, and that's why he was invited to New York along with Amari Cooper, and who even won it in 2014? Mariota? Somebody like that. He was up there with them. You can look that up. That is a fact. 2014. Anything to say?
800 yards rushing, 2,500 yards passing.
And he was invited to New York, yeah.
Wee.
When was the last time Georgia had a quarterback invited to New York?
Wee.
Never. Hell, was Aaron Murray even there? Shit. Nick Marshall was better than any quarterback you've had in the last, 2 decades. And then that's not even our best one. Cam Newton's been even better. I'm wrong, and I'm just gonna say because I have nothing else to say. I mean, you sound like that damn 8-year-old troll who was about the Kool-Aid stains. That's what you sound like, Uncle Lou. I mean, you have nothing else to say.
Support Gus Malzahn.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
You
Support Gus
seem to
Malzahn.
think
You just
I
said
like
you'd
him.
rather go 10-2 than 5-7. That means you want to keep Malzahn.
If we go 10-2 and we keep Malzahn, all right, he can have another year. To be honest, 10-2, I wouldn't complain that much. Really, a 10-win season is not that bad.
Sir, you're not going 10-2. Stop it.
Quarterback this year.
I'm pulling your leg, man. You ain't
What?
going 10-2. Stop.
Yeah, fully returning defensive line. What you keep saying is you wish you
Stop
could
it.
have.
Stop it.
A.
Stop it.
You wouldn't like our defensive lineman?
You're not going 10-2. You're not. Two teams on your schedule are miles.
I'm not even
Two
saying
teams on
you're
your
the one-
schedule
you're
are
the one
miles ahead of
saying
you. Georgia and Alabama are miles ahead of you. You're not beating them. You're probably losing to
Uncle
Florida.
Luke, we're
You're
third in
probably
SEC in talent.
you're probably losing. No, bull. No. Stop it.
What do you
Stop.
mean, bull?
Stop.
What do you mean?
Stop
Last
it.
season distracted you from that.
LSU is miles ahead of you in talent.
LSU is not
Stop
ahead
it.
of us in talent.
Don't make me-
LSU is not ahead. Remember, Uncle Luke,
What in the
remember last year you said Auburn was third in talent?
Man, what
Talent?
kind of
Listen to what
potatoes
I'm
are you
saying.
smoking, sir?
Uncle Luke, listen to what I'm saying for a second.
Man, I can't
You
listen
said
to you.
last year. Look, you said last year that LSU was behind Auburn in talent. Then you watched the season, and we didn't do great because of a struggling offensive lineman and a average quarterback play at best. And you seem to think that all of that talent we've already been getting, these top 10 classes we've had for the last 10 years, are just down the drain. Auburn still has a ton of talent on their team.
And what about
It's
LSU's
whether or
top
not
10
Gus
classes?
realized that.
What about those?
I'm not saying LSU. Auburn and LSU are very comparable. Okay, you can compare them. All right, I'll give it to you. Maybe LSU might be ahead of us a little bit, but there's nobody else ahead of us in talent. Definitely not. Georgia, Alabama, LSU. That's it. And if Gus can get it together this year,
Florida's ahead of
which
you.
he has. Florida's not ahead of us in talent. Are you kidding me?
No, I don't kid. But I'm looking.
Florida's ahead of us in talent.
I'm looking at the 24/7
Don't
talent
think-
rankings. So
Dude.
24/7
We have
talent
the
rankings.
fastest guy
You're
on
14th.
the planet as a wide receiver.
You're the
We
14th.
have
You're the
four
14th most
four-star
talented
running
team in the
backs on our
country, and
roster
you
now.
won't finish. And you won't finish in the top 14. So
Wait, hang on. Repeat that.
you're the 14th most talented team in the country, and you won't finish in the top 14.
What year is this off of?
This is the most current talent rankings on 24/7 Sports. They use
All right,
the last
you can-
four
you
recruiting
can-
classes.
Okay, the last four, 14th. Okay, so, but how did that talent work out for Florida? Would they win like 4 games 2 seasons ago?
Last
You
year they
gotta
won
look
10.
at how it played out, though.
They won
too.
10 games last year in a New Year's Six Bowl. Do you know what a New Year's
Not
Six
last
Bowl
year,
is?
dumbass.
A
The
New
year
Year's
before
Six
that,
Bowl
the
is
year
a New
before
Year's
that.
Six Bowl. A New Year's Six Bowl is like the game you lost to Central Florida. Remember that one?
No,
That's
I'm not
what.
talking
That's
about
a New
last
Year's
year. I'm
Six
talking
Bowl.
about the year before.
So anyway,
talking
no,
about
you're
the
not
year
the second or
before,
third
Uncle Lou.
most talented team in the SEC. You're actually the fourth or
Yes,
fifth.
we are.
You're the fifth
Uncle Lou,
most talented
you do not
team
know football if you know that.
in the SEC.
Uncle Lou, before I go,
Hey, this
before I
might
go,
make you
I
feel
will say
better.
this.
This might make you feel better. Guess who's one spot behind you in the talent rankings? Just one spot behind you. I'll give you a
Who's
hint.
that?
I give you a hint. They whipped your ass last year. I want to hear you say
it
it.
sure wasn't Georgia because they didn't beat our ass that bad.
I want to hear you say it. No, Georgia's way ahead of you,
Uncle
sir.
Lou.
I'm asking who's right
Keep
behind
sleeping
you.
on Auburn this
Who's
year,
right
'cause
behind
Auburn
you?
does better when all of you sleep.
Guess who's
Keep
right
sleeping
behind
on
you in the
Auburn.
talent
Please
rankings?
keep sleeping on Auburn.
Guess who's right
That's when we
behind you
beat
in the
everybody.
talent rankings?
Have a good morning.
Guess who's right behind you? The Tennessee Voltards, which waxed your ass last year. But have a great day, though. Yeah, you have to. Nick Marshall, Heisman Trophy, 5th runner-up, 2014.
Huh?
Yeah, hold on one second. I got to read these super chats, and then I'll take the call. Super chats, vodka drinker. Thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. I heard Lloyd Summerall's dad got arrested for not returning that white arm sleeve he wore in the recruiting picture with Dan Mullen. That's that 45-year-old man, ain't it? Nothing surprises me anymore. Brandon Pratt, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. Dan Mullen has been awful quiet lately. Yeah, humble pie, hard to talk with a mouthful of that. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat, the donation, sir. Can you pay these players for their likenesses, please? I need NCAA football 2020. I agree with you there. Good morning, caller. You're on with Uncle Lou. Yeah, and also in 2.
What in the hell did you do? Did you hang up on me, sir?
No, you disconnected the call, man. I told you to quit calling in from that old walkie-talkie. You don't listen.
I think you're the one who's talking the shoe here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why would I hang up
phone,
on my
sir.
favorite caller, sir? But you better hurry up and get to it before you
know what?
Before your minutes run out again.
You have a good point. You have a good point.
All right.
I'm gonna get right to my. Did I already tell you what I was gonna talk about? Or did it cut off before that?
Doesn't matter. Just start at the beginning and go.
Okay, so I have my top 10. I mean, my top 5 list for coaches, whether it's a defensive analyst, head coach, defensive coordinator, whatever. I have number 1, the head coach, Gus Malzahn. Are you still there, sir?
Still here. That's an excellent choice too.
Okay. Number 2, Mike Stoops, Alabama, defensive analyst. Number 3, Butch Jones, same thing.
He's
Kerr,
head coach in waiting. His official title is head coach in waiting at Alabama. But go ahead with the list.
I have pineapple.
California, Steve Kerr, great coach, very good at ball movement, especially in college football. Number 5 is Jeremy Pruitt. I think he's going to lead Tennessee Volunteers to great feats this year. I think I've said for the past year almost, Tennessee's going to win the national championship.
You listen what the general tell you now.
Number 10 Heisman candidates listed from the most likely to win the Heisman to the least likely. So I'm going to start with the most likely and go to the least likely, okay? And I'm checking. Are you still there, sir?
Yep,
I'm just
still
making
here.
sure.
I'm waiting on this top 10.
Okay.
Let's go. I got to write it down.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Number 1, Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle, Oklahoma. I think he's going to sack a lot of quarterbacks, and he's going to force a lot of fumbles. Elite defensive line in Oklahoma this year. They're going to do a lot of great things. Number 2, Felipe Franks, quarterback, Florida. He's going to throw for over 5,000 yards this year, or rush for over 2,000. It's going to be a historical season. He will have over 80% completions, have 0 touchdowns. 0 interceptions, my mistake. Several touchdowns. Number 3, Jarrett Garantano, quarterback, Tennessee. He's going to be right behind. Felipe Franks, in my opinion, when it comes around to the end of the year. Number 4, we have Carter Stanley, quarterback at Kansas. Elite defenses there, so that might limit his numbers in the Big 12 due to elite defenses. So that's why I've kind of put him down there at number 4. Number 5 is Brandon Kennedy, center at Tennessee. I think he's a top 5 NFL draft prospect this year. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick, no doubt in my mind. This man is going to be mauling people on the offensive line. Number 6 is Calvin Tyler Jr., running back at Oregon State. That caller about 2 times ago was talking trash about Oregon State. That man is wrong. This man will lead Oregon State to a very good season this year. Will they win the national championship? Maybe not, but he's going to rush for over 2,000 yards, sir. Okay, number 7, I have Russell Westbrook, running back at UCLA. Man is so athletic, nobody's going to be able to catch this man. Number 8, I have Justice Scalia, quarterback at Virginia. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. I think he's going to beat Clemson. I think they're going to definitely upset Clemson this year. Number 9, I have George W. Bush. He's going to be a strong side defensive end at Georgia. This man's going to absolutely maul the offensive line.
Georgia W. Bush.
Going to run right through him. Georgia, yep. He's from Georgia, and his name says it.
Yeah, he's from Georgia, yeah.
And number 10 is a definite dark horse. People are sleeping on this defensive tackle. I have Nancy Pelosi, defensive tackle at Iowa. I think people are sleeping on her, quite frankly. She may be the most athletic defensive tackle I think I've seen in my life. She's going to run. She's going to absolutely truck every single offensive line she plays. She may force more than 10 fumbles. Of course, she's only going after them probably because they don't agree with her political views. But she's so powerful. I'd be scared of her. I'd be running for my life. And then I have my top 10 teams. And this is the end of what I have to say today.
All right, you got to run through these quick, though. You got to run through them quick. Go.
Okay, 10, I have Iowa, which will be carried by Nancy Pelosi. Her defense will lead them to a very good season. Number 9, I have Georgia being carried by George W. Bush, and will lead to, Georgia doesn't have a lot of talent, but George W. Bush is like a top 10 pick, so he's going to definitely lead them to a number 9 season. Number 8, Virginia, led by Justice Scalia, of course, and then I have number 7. Oregon State. Number 6, the Miami. Number 5, Texas A&M. 4, Rutgers. 3, Kansas. 2, the Florida Gators. And number 1, I have the Tennessee Volunteers. And that's my list, sir. I am a 5-star caller, and I appreciate you for taking my call, sir. You have a great day.
Thank you for the call.
5-star caller.
I think my money's going to be on Virginia and Justice Scalia. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. I don't know if anybody's going to call in now. It's going to be hard to top that one. But once again, Mark Johnson, you have outdone yourself, sir, and thank you for the call. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Can you hear me, Lou?
I hear you perfectly fine, sir.
All right. Bet. All right. This man just called up there for 20 minutes to talk about Auburn's 2nd, 3rd, 4th place medals and a quarterback that played, like you said, 11 games and got arrested. Seriously, is that your poster child right now? That's when you're Gus Malzahn. That's all. Yeah, that's literally all you have when you're Gus Malzahn. I mean, now he's gotten lucky in terms of some transfers. Cam Newton, Nick Marshall, Jarrett Stidbaloney. Those are the 3 best quarterbacks Gus Malzahn's ever had. They're all transfers from other places. He's never signed a good quarterback out of high school. So until Bo Nix and Joey Gatewood do something to prove me wrong, they're terrible. Sitting here telling us don't sleep on Auburn, but you want Gus Malzahn to be fired. Anyways,
yeah.
Your boy Dan Mullet been running that mouth.
Caught up with him too.
It's catching up with him ever so fast.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot wait to hear what Kirby's got to say next week in Augusta. Now, the other day I tried calling about you talking about paying these players, and I got disconnected. My thing on that, honestly, your idea might be the best only scenario, in my opinion, is paying graduates. But these kids, in-state tuition is $12,000 on average. Times that by 3 years, that's $36,000 plus all the team swag that you get. You get to travel the country. When these teams go places, they don't just go play football. They do other things when they're in town, especially bowl games. So these guys are getting free rides. And then if you come out of state, you're looking at $36,000 on average. Again, times 3 years. That's over $90,000.
Right.
Plus all this extra stuff, free housing, free food, all this stuff. And you're talking about paying players for their likeness. Like you said, you're going to have to, if you break it down to royalties, the first-team quarterback is going to get way more money than the fourth-string punter. But if you're paying for their likeness for a video game like NCAA, as everybody wants, I personally want, by all means, but, I mean, you're going to have to pay those third and fourth string players for their likeness. Instead, right. I feel like they should come with some sort of contract with these schools, even if they have to go back to the HB number 3 and not putting a name on them and just putting generic stats and codes in to make players, and the university gets a bulk signing bonus or whatever for allowing the team's likeness as a whole. Because let's be honest, the school owns all the rights to those players no matter what right now. And I mean, that is the issue that they're having at hand. But there's no clear scenario because it's going to turn into, well, who's going to pay me more money? Alabama or Texas A&M, Georgia, South Carolina, Ohio State? Who's going to give me the bigger, fatter check to come play for them?
Yeah, I mean, it was already a slippery slope when they started doing these stipends a couple of years ago, and they based the stipends on cost of living in the area that the college is in. That sounds great in theory, and I'm not necessarily saying that it's not fair to do that. The problem is a lot of high school kids don't understand that. So let's say you have a kid that grows up in the middle of Iowa somewhere where everything is really cheap. Southern Cal is able to give a higher stipend to their players than Georgia is, because obviously the cost of living is way higher in LA than it is in Athens. And that already worries me, that some kids aren't going to understand that and are going to pick places, like Southern Cal or some of these other schools that are in bigger cities where the cost of living is higher. It's just that there's so many things that can go wrong once you open up that door. I'm just against it all together. And I don't try to hide it or whatever. It's 100% selfish reasons. I love college football the way it is. I don't want to see it ruined. I prefer college over the NFL. I don't want to see college turn into NFL junior. I'm selfish. Do I think what those kids do on Saturdays in the fall in terms of the entertainment they provide to me and the risk that they take and the money that they make for the schools and things like that, do I think that in a perfect world they're entitled to some of that money? Probably. But I admit it, and people call me an a-hole. You don't care about the kids, that kind of thing. But at least I'm honest about it. It's not that I don't care about them. Of course I care about them, but I love college football first, and I just don't want to see that ruined.
Well, I got one more point. I'll let you go back on the fan raving about Auburn, who's nothing. As a Georgia fan, I bleed red and black, but most of us are realists. We understand that we haven't won a national championship since 1980. We understand that we haven't had a Heisman candidate since the 80s. We get it. We know that. You don't have to remind us, but we're not out here sitting, don't sleep on Georgia. We're winning a national championship every single year. Our Jake Fromm is, winning the Heisman every single year. No, we're not. You don't hear that from 90% of Georgia fans. We're just as bought in to Kirby Smart's mentality of every game matters, every week matters, and when the team lets us down, we are highly disappointed, just like the fucking Sugar Bowl. Like, you have to be bought into it. And if you have that mentality, it will go a hell of a lot further than talking junk in the streets and ending up like Mullet. But I'll let you go.
All right, we're on the same page, sir. Thank you for the call. Yeah, I basically agree with what the guy's saying there. As far as being realistic, whatever, I've been doing this for, how long have I been doing this? 4 or 5 years now. I've never even predicted Georgia to go 12-0 in regular season, much less 15-0 like you hear from a lot of people, a lot of different fan bases. But speaking of never predicting Georgia to go 12-0 ever, I predict a lot of people being really, really mad when I make my Georgia prediction video this year, though. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
What's going on, Uncle Lou?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
All right, so I heard that one dude, did he say that Gus Malzahn was his number one coach?
He goes back and forth on Gus Malzahn. Sometimes he calls up and wants the guy fired yesterday, and sometimes he calls up and says he's willing to give him one more. Basically, what he said today was if Gus Malzahn goes 10-2 and finishes second in the East, he thinks he deserves one more year. He said if he wins 7 or 8 games, he should be fired. But if Auburn comes out week 1 and beats Washington, he'll call me up and tell me Gus Malzahn's the greatest coach ever.
I'm sorry, he has not done enough for, literally anything. He is getting way overpaid.
Oh, he's the most overpaid coach in
college
football, period.
Contract.
Yeah, he's definitely the most overpaid coach in college football, without question.
Yeah.
Him and Jim Harbaugh.
All right,
thank you for the call, sir. Yeah, I appreciate it. That was a good call, but that guy sounded like he's never been in a hurry a day in his life, didn't he? I think that guy that just called in has glaucoma, and he was in the process of treating it right before he called in. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, living the dream, man. I've been watching your videos for a long time. This is the first time I ever had a chance to get through, though.
Well, hey, thanks for watching, and I'm glad you got through.
Yeah, man, I've been watching you for a very long time. Anyways, yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm like you. I hate to have to wait this long, and I hate for summer to get over. But hey, you know what? When it gets over, that's just that much closer we got to football. And went to Clemson, hardcore Clemson fan, have been since a very long time. But I'm also a realist. I'm not one of those people that get up and talk about we're a dynasty because we are not a legacy powerhouse. We're not a dynasty team. We're not one of those people like a Oklahoma or Alabama or Michigan or Notre Dame that's had recent success or has had long-term success. Now have we been a thing for the last 8 or 9 years? We've been good. Have we been a contender for the last 3 or 4 years? Yeah, and I hope it rides that way a long time, and I hope everything goes how it's going. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. But I tell you, man, I'm actually from Georgia, Hartwell, Georgia, live in Anderson, South Carolina, and tell you, man, I've been watching Georgia football, Clemson football a long time, and even though I'm a huge Clemson fan, and I'm excited with all the picks that we're getting and the talent that everybody thinks that we don't have, and everybody that we got coming back, just because we lost 6 of our front 7, they think we're going to drop off the map. Look at the recruiting, look at those guys we got coming in. Just because you're a 5-star doesn't mean you're the best thing ever. Look at people like Hunter Renfro and Kevin Dodd and guys that nobody wanted because they weren't 5-stars. They turned out to be, NFL players. But it's going to be a good coming up year, man. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it to get here. And honestly, if you ask me right now who I think my Final 4 teams are going to be in the playoffs, I think you're going to have, when it's all said and done and the committee's making their decisions, I think you're going to have Clemson at 1. I think you're going to have Georgia at 2, Oklahoma at 3, and I think Michigan's going to come in at 4, not because Michigan's the best thing ever, but I think Ryan Day taking over Ohio State. And honestly, Justin Fields is a decent quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I heard he was lazy. I heard he was lazy since the day he came in. I heard he was showing up to practice late, didn't want to do everything, and Justin Fromm done everything he had to do to keep that job. Is Fromm the best quarterback in college? No, but does he put in the time? Does he put in the effort? Does he do everything he needs to do to keep his job? Yeah, he does. And if Justin Fields had Jake Fromm's work ethic, he would have been the starter at Georgia, and he would have stayed there. And some people disagree with me, some people don't. I think I'm personally right on that. How about you?
That's not a crazy list of playoff teams, that's for sure. Those are the four of the teams that I think definitely have a shot to make it. A lot of people are I think sleeping on Michigan because they just keep disappointing year after year after year. But ask yourself this: if Ohio State wasn't around the last couple of years, how would Michigan have done? Well, they probably would have made the playoffs at least once. And I'm not saying Ohio State's not around now, but like you said, brand new coaching staff, first time ever head coach, lots of question marks about Justin Fields. You have to at least consider the possibility that Ohio State loses 2 or 3 games this year and Michigan finds a way to big win. Look, at Michigan, no one talks more trash about the Big Ten than I do. But I think it's possible
I'm with you, man.
I think it's possible for a 2-loss I think it's possible for a 2-loss Big Ten team to get into the playoff. Now, a lot of other stuff would have to happen, but I think if Michigan, beats Ohio State and goes 11-1 or 12-0 and then wins the Big Ten, I think they've got a good chance of getting in.
Yeah,
we'll
Michigan's
see.
Michigan's biggest problem, and I don't understand this. With Jim Harbaugh supposed to be in the quarterback guru, he can't. He just. I don't understand. Like, I understand that he got, a transfer last year that was supposed to be the best thing ever, and it turned out decent. It's better than the bowl game 2 years ago where they barely put up 14 points against South Carolina's atrocious defense.
Right.
I don't understand how you don't put up 14 points against South Carolina. But Michigan's problem has been, I would kill to have Rashawn Gary, which we should have got him. I would kill to have Michigan's defense. They are hyper-talented. Why they can't put together an offense that can average more than 20 points a game, I don't understand it. You're in the Big Ten. Don't get me wrong. Going up against defenses like freaking Purdue and going up against defenses like Wisconsin and Iowa.
Right.
I don't understand why you can't put up more than 20 points a game. Now, again, I'm not a conference homer. I am one of the biggest Clemson fans you will ever meet in your life. But I'm not going to sit there for 2 seconds and pump my chest and say anything about the conference, because I believe in the last 3 or 4 years, there is no dominant conference. You've got Alabama and Georgia in the SEC. You've got Clemson in the ACC. You've had Ohio State, maybe Michigan, depending on how that plays out in the Big 12, and Oklahoma in the Big 12. The only way the Pac-12 is getting in is if a team can run the conference and run the board, not lose a game. And the only team that can do that is going to be UCLA. That's it. But as far as this whole dominant conference thing, there is no such thing as a dominant conference, because I'll bet any amount of money in the world that Kentucky's not going to beat Oklahoma, just like Wake Forest is not going to beat Vanderbilt, just like Mississippi State is not going to be probably going to beat Texas. I mean, it's just this whole dominant. Now, would I agree that the top 4 teams in the SEC collectively are a better top 4 than any top 4 of any other conference? I would agree. But with that being said, I'm not an ACC fan. I'm a Clemson fan, and I'll bet every dollar in my name right now, if you take the Clemson team that played against Alabama or played against every game they played last year after Trevor Lawrence got made the starter, they could, should, and would beat almost any team in their schedule. I think the best 3 teams in the country that have a chance at beating them are Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's offense is off the charts. Defense needs a lot of work. Georgia has been hyper-talented for a couple years, tons of talent across the board. I'd love to have some of Georgia's talent. I mean, Georgia's old hot rod at kicker, old Blankenship, I can't get over the goggles he wore, don't get me wrong, but that boy
he's one of my favorites.
Money when he had to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
That boy was money when he had to kick a field goal. I think if you go back and if you look at the national championship game last year, I think Tua saw a lot of defensive coverage that he'd never seen before. But all Clemson did, and you're going to agree with me 100%, all Clemson did when they played Alabama last year for the national championship, they took what Georgia put together in the SEC championship game, and they copied Georgia's defensive strategy, and they made a few tweaks on it. Georgia showed how to beat Alabama. The only thing that beat Georgia in that game was Georgia. That was the only thing. And people can say what they want all day about whatever, but I think this year, I think Georgia, and again, I'm not a Georgia fan, I'm a Clemson fan, but I give Georgia all the respect in the world because I like Kirby Smart. I think they're going to come out this year. I think they're going to come out. They're going to have something to prove. And as long as we can get a good 4 quarters of football every game, I hope it's Georgia-Clemson in a national championship game. Georgia's sitting at 2. Clemson's sitting at 1 in the playoffs. And I hope we get to that national championship game, because who wouldn't want to see that game? 2 teams, local, close game. The only thing I wish that could be different was where they played it in Atlanta. That's the only thing I wish that would be different, because, you know, Lawrence versus Fromm, a couple top 3, top 5 defenses playing each other, newer rookie coach versus somebody that's been around a few years. I think it would be a good game. But again, if Grandma had a wiener, she'd be Grandpa. So you can say whatever you want to say, but I think it would be a good game, and I'm ready for this whole Alabama thing to drop off, because I think Saban's got a couple years left in him. He's going to be gone, and I think Georgia's going to be the new SEC, and I think you're going to have a lot of games in the next 4 or 5 years where it's where it's Georgia versus Clemson at some point in the playoff games. And we need that. There's no reason you get 2 Power 5 schools that are both top 5 teams that are less than an hour and 15 minutes from campus to campus, and we don't play each other every year. I'd love to go down to Athens every year and watch. Just like y'all would like to come up here and watch. It's a good rivalry. We need to bring it back.
Yeah. Well, you're my new favorite caller. Thank you. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Georgia is a dominant program, and we're just inches away from being where we need to be. I could not agree more. Only problem is,
who have Georgia played? Woo!
706-510-6817 is the number. I got time for maybe 1 or 2 more callers. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou here.
What's up, Uncle Lou? How you doing?
Hey, buddy. What's up?
I was just calling to ask how you felt about that little group they're putting together to see about paying the players, even though they're not really saying that.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about that on Tuesday. They're putting a group together. For those that don't know, the NCAA is putting a committee together to look into compensating, quote unquote, the student athletes. And by compensating, they want to make it very clear to you that by compensation, they don't mean paying them money. So I have no idea what they're doing. They're already compensated. They get tuition. They get free room and board. They get a stipend. They get flown all over the country. They get treated like kings and queens for 3, 4, 5 years, depending on how long they're there. They live in the nicest dorms on campus. So they're already being compensated. I don't know what else you could do compensation-wise that's not paying them. And the NCAA makes it very clear in the statement they put out, we're not looking at paying them money, we're looking at compensation. So I don't know if they're looking to give them iTunes gift cards or what. I don't know.
Well, if they do end up passing this rule, you're gonna bring back because if they do pass this rule, it's almost guaranteed NCAA football is coming back.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you bring back the series on the channel, because I love that little series you used to do.
Yeah, people ask for that all the time. I need to. The problem is they update those rosters, but I rely on other people to update them, and there's only like 2 or 3 teams that are completely updated so far for 2019. So I'm trying to wait until they get some more teams updated, and then I'm going to start streaming some of those games. But yeah, I wish they would just come out with a new one though. But I just don't know how. I don't know how they would be able to do it legally. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know all the details on how that would work. But I would love to have a new college football game to play.
That's all I wanted to call about.
Okay, thank you for the call. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. 706-510-6817. Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream some more of those games for you guys. Somebody called. Who was it? Oh, was it Mark Johnson called? So he was out of school already. My kids have another couple of weeks of school left. Once they get out of school for the summer, it's easier for me to stay up an extra hour or so when I do these shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So maybe we can start doing, the call-in show for an hour or so, and then stream some NCAA football for an hour or so after that, because I won't. I mean, like right now, I have to get up at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning with to start getting the kids ready for school. That'll change in a couple of weeks when they get out for the summer. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou and that and this and that and this and that.
Hey, Uncle Lou, it's McGee Sports 4.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great.
The caller.
In the 305, bitches treat me like I'm Uncle Lou.
That Michigan was going to be in the college football playoffs.
That's what he said. He didn't stutter or anything.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean,
he wasn't kidding.
Michigan's overrated. Michigan is overrated. The whole Big Ten is overrated. I called up a few weeks ago saying how my Terps are going to win the Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's basically trolling.
Well, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure you were trolling, and that's sort of what makes what you're saying now so funny. That you're saying Michigan has no chance to make the playoffs, but a week and a half ago you were saying how Maryland has a good chance to win the Big Ten. But go ahead, though.
Yeah, well, my point about that was that the Big Ten is overrated. Ohio State's going to at least lose 2 games. Michigan's probably going to lose at least 2 games. I was high on Penn State until I finally got a chance to look at their team. They're going to lose at least 3 or 4 of their games. I mean, the Big Ten's not going to probably make the playoffs. Maryland might have a good shot at winning the Big Ten East. I look at the Big Ten West. I don't think any team in the Big Ten West is going to I think every team in the Big Ten West is probably going to lose at least 2 games. I mean, I agree with you saying that the Big 12 was better than the Big Ten. I thought it was a bit bold, but I agree with it because I think the Big Ten's overrated as hell. And my team's in the Big Ten. I'm not a conference person or anything, but the Big Ten's overrated.
Well, here's my thing with the Big Ten for 2019. It's very hard. There's a lot of questions about the Big Ten for 2019. It's possible. Okay, I think this is possible. Ohio State doesn't skip a beat. they're just as dominant as they have been the last 2 or 3 years. They go either 12-0, 11-1. Justin Fields learns how to play football, and they have a great year like they seem to always do. That's possible. I think it's possible Michigan's offense takes another step forward with Shea Patterson at quarterback for the second year. I think their defense, even though they lost a lot of talent, I think their defense is still going to be elite, top 10 in the country. I think it's possible if Michigan learns to play better in big games and gets a little bit better offensively, I think it's possible for Michigan to win the Big Ten with 0 losses or 1 loss. I also think it's possible that if neither one of those two things happens, Nebraska could win the Big Ten with 1 or 2 losses. Now, if all of those things happen, if Ohio State ends up being a 12-0 or 11-1 team again, if Michigan puts it together and ends up being 11-1, if Nebraska does the amazing in year 2 under Scott Frost, like he did at Central Florida, and somehow makes the Big Ten title game at 10-2, 11-1, or 12, then you look at the Big Ten and say, wow, Big Ten's a pretty good conference. But it's also possible all 3 of those teams go 8-4. There's a lot of question marks about the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and I think Nebraska personally is overrated, and I think the caller earlier is correct saying that Nancy Pelosi and Iowa, I think they're going to win the Big Ten West. So that's where I'm at right now, the Big Ten West. I think it's going to be Iowa versus. I don't know who's going to come out of the East, but I think Iowa is going to come out of the West, probably with 2 or 3 losses, and. I have a strong feeling Ohio State's going to underperform this year. First-year head coach, I think the defense is overrated. The offense, Kyle Murray, you say it on here all the time. All he did was hand off the ball at Georgia. He didn't have that good of a spring game. I also believe that Michigan, I think their defense is overrated. And I was high on Penn State until I saw their team, so...
Yeah, everyone's overrated. We've established that. But now you're a Maryland fan. It's getting close to Memorial Day. Listen, the weather is heating up. What are you guys doing up there to, keep people alive?
Well, Clemson, one of their linebackers, Shaq Smith, ran the transfer portal, and supposedly we're favorites to get him. So that's like the one thing with Maryland right now.
Is this thing working? Hello, sir. Good morning. Yeah. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you about the Taters or the transfer protocol, but what I asked you about is the fact that you guys been killing players up there in the off season. It's getting hot again now. What precautions are you taking?
Well, supposedly they're gonna have like tents set up and like big water sprayers. It doesn't get as hot up there. It doesn't get as hot up here as it is down in Georgia and Florida. We have a new coaching
It gets hot
staff.
enough to kill people, sir.
It does. I hated the incident personally. It was very disgusting, but overall,
let's keep those people hydrated, okay? This isn't the 1980s,
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Drinking water doesn't make you a pussy. It keeps you alive when it's hot outside. Let's get it together up there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
A bunch of H2O.
Thank you. Have a great day and a good morning too. All right, that's going to wrap it up for tonight's edition of the Uncle Lou Show Live. We made it through an entire show without anyone calling up and breathing in the phone, which is amazing. Thanks to everybody that called in. Good calls tonight. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Deep Barrett, Big Bubba Blue, General Shadowman, Tiger Nate, Scott Causey, James Scott, McD Sports 4, amazing call. And 2, Dan Mullet, T. Lucci, Dennis Wilson, Tiger Nate, D-Rev Lee, Big Bubba Blue, Cameron Merrill, Argan and 10, Tram Dickerson, good morning. Will Moody, Mr. Lambo, Clemson Carson, Hound Dog, Dennis Wilson, P. Digits, James Scott, good morning. Yeah, really appreciate you guys tuning in tonight and watching along with us. Thanks again to everybody that called. Shout out to a big shout out, especially to everybody that donated through the super chat. Vodka Drinker, Brandon Pratt, and Waikiki 451. Thank you guys. Really means a lot. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, 24-hour stream coming up in 5 or 6 weeks. Probably going to be the second weekend in July when I do that. I think I had said it was going to be the end of June earlier, and I have to apologize for that. I'm getting all kinds of confused. It's summertime, and there's lots of trips and vacations and stuff going on, not just with me, but with other members of my family and stuff like that. And I got 2 of the vacations confused. So the vacation, anyway, the live stream, the 24-hour live stream is the second weekend of July. So just that I believe that's the weekend is the 12th, 13th, and 14th. I believe is that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it'll be during that 3-day period. Not sure if I'll do it Friday into Saturday or Saturday into Sunday. Figure that out. But it's the second weekend of July for those of you that are keeping track at home. The 24-hour stream will be the second week of July. I have no idea what video I'm doing tomorrow or over the weekend. I have no clue. But next week will be Superfan Week. Every video next week will feature the Superfans. And, of course, if you haven't seen the video from earlier today, you need to watch it. Brand new Superfan coming out next Friday, May 24th. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll hear from all the other Superfans that you guys have seen before. And then on Friday, we'll have the brand new Superfan have his first video out on Friday. And, of course, I reveal which team that Superfan is with in the video uploaded earlier today, so make sure you watch it. It's a short one. It's only like 2.5 minutes long. July 13th is your birthday. Yeah, my birthday was a couple of days ago, but happy early birthday. That'll be when I'm doing the stream. Yeah. But anyway, appreciate you guys watching. I really do, and I will talk to you guys soon. I think, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I bust my ass, Lou. That's what I do every day. So you be careful who you mouth off to, jerk off.